faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're discussing the book Cancer Defense. Subtitle: A Cancer Prevention Guide for Healthy Individuals. Many people feel like more and more around them are getting cancer. Actually, China's cancer incidence isn't particularly high, ranking around 50th globally, much lower than developed countries like the US, Japan, and Australia. But China's cancer mortality rate is exceptionally high, exceeding the global average, because many are diagnosed at advanced stages when treatment is less effective.
So, preventing cancer and detecting it early or mid stage becomes crucial.
Today's book, Cancer Defense, systematically explains cancer prevention. The author Li Zhizhan, pen name Polo, holds a PhD in cancer biology from Duke University. Returning to China, he's dedicated to cancer education and authored several books, including The Truth About Cancer. As we covered before on Sally's Book Club, that book explains cancer stems from gene mutations. Simply put, when cells divide, rare errors cause mutations leading to cancer cells. If these evade the immune system, they can grow uncontrollably into cancer. Gene mutations come from two sources: innate factors, meaning genetic defects we're born with. These defective genes are called cancer genes, while acquired factors include lifestyle habits and environmental triggers. Research shows while proportions vary by cancer type, overall about half of cancer causes are innate and half acquired. Cancer defense approaches prevention through these three aspects: innate factors, acquired factors, and cancer screening. These three aspects form its prevention framework. Our discussion will follow this three-part structure. First, how genes influence cancer risk. Can genetically driven cancer be prevented? Genes shape our physical traits and indirectly affect cancer susceptibility. For example, cancer risks differ by gender. Genes give men higher growth hormone levels, leading to greater height and weight, but faster cell division means higher mutation and cancer risks. Studies also show taller individuals of the same gender face higher cancer risks, since increased height correlates with faster cell division rates. However, while gender and height effects are minimal, certain genes dramatically increase cancer susceptibility. Let's examine a case from the author's personal experience. A middle-aged man named Chen Qi felt cursed when his 13-year-old daughter was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a malignant bone tumor, making her the fourth cancer patient in his family. Chen's brother died from a brain tumor at 7, and his sister developed bilateral breast cancer a decade later. Just as his sister's cancer was controlled, their 50-year-old mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Genetic testing revealed a TP53 mutation in Chen's family, indicating Li-Fraumeni syndrome. TP53 is among our body's most crucial tumor suppressor genes. It repairs cellular mutations and triggers death in irreparably damaged cells. When TP53 itself mutates, it loses its cancer-suppressing ability.
Li-Fraumeni carriers face 80 to 90% cancer risk before age 60, with many becoming patients in childhood.
Similarly, BRCA1, BRCA2 gene mutations cause hereditary breast and ovarian cancers. Notably, Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie carries a mutated BRCA gene. Olive's maternal line, great-grandmother, grandmother, mother, and aunt all died from breast or ovarian cancers. Testing revealed Jolie had an 87% breast cancer risk and 50% ovarian cancer risk. She underwent preventive action, decisive tone, and oophorectomy, reducing her cancer risk while spotlighting genetic prevention. However, her approach remains medically controversial due to risks associated with preventive surgeries. First, removal surgery doesn't guarantee 100% cancer prevention. The breast cancer gene can also trigger other cancers, like pancreatic cancer. Second, surgery requires anesthesia, which carries its own risks.
Finally, removing breasts and ovaries causes physical harm, especially oophorectomy, ovaries being vital for egg production and estrogen.
Many who undergo oophorectomy experience longer, more severe menopause symptoms, some requiring long-term hormone replacement therapy. While breast cancer genes pose constant risks, other mutations turn harmless foods into cancer triggers. For example, a mutated ALDOB gene causes hereditary fructose intolerance, inability to break down fructose. Carriers must limit fruits and high fructose vegetables like sweet peas, onions, and bell peppers, as undigested fructose creates toxic byproducts damaging liver cells and increasing cancer risk. I don't. To summarize part 1, genes influence cancer risk, but since medicine can't prevent all mutations, acquired prevention becomes vital. Now, let's explore the book's second aspect. How can we prevent cancer in daily life? We'll examine dietary and lifestyle habits, starting with diet. As the saying goes, disease enters through the mouth. Cancer prevention truly connects to what and how we eat. Note that online articles often promote so-called cancer-fighting foods like sweet potatoes, broccoli, or green tea. However, science hasn't proven any food significantly prevents cancer, though some definitely cause it.
The WHO's International Agency for Research on Cancer, IRC, classifies carcinogens into different categories.
Categorized by cancer likelihood. Group 1, confirmed carcinogens, 2A, 2B, and Group 3. Group 2A indicates probable carcinogens. Group 2B denotes possible carcinogens, while Group 3 indicates suspected carcinogens. To prevent cancer, we must pay special attention to Group 1 and Group 2A carcinogens. This includes many foods like pickled foods, processed meats, spoiled grains, and grilled or baked items. First, pickled vegetables, such as kimchi.
These foods often contain high levels of nitrites, which metabolize into nitrosamines, a strong carcinogen in the body.
It's no coincidence that high gastric cancer rates in China, Japan, and Korea align with long traditions of pickled food consumption. Korea, where kimchi is nearly universal, has the world's highest gastric cancer incidence.
The second type of potentially carcinogenic food is processed meats like bacon, sausages, spam, and ham, all Group 1 carcinogens. Processing also produces nitrites, and eating over 50 grams daily raises colon cancer risk.
Additionally, fresh red meat is classified as Group 2A carcinogen. Pork, beef, and lamb all count as red meat. But since red meat contains valuable nutrients and trace elements, moderate consumption is beneficial. Rotating with white meats like chicken and fish is healthier. The third type is spoiled grains and their products. Protein-rich foods like peanuts, corn, rice, and flour can be contaminated with Aspergillus flavus.
Aflatoxin is considered one of the strongest carcinogens and a key cause of liver cancer. Nuts like walnuts and almonds, plus milk, are also prone to contamination.
This mold is highly toxic and stubborn. Heating can't break it down.
So never eat discolored or spoiled food just to avoid waste.
The fourth type is grilled or baked foods, because high heat cooking can produce benzopyrene, a carcinogen. This substance is found in everything from grilled skewers to baked cookies and cakes. Hearing this, you might ask, with so many everyday foods being carcinogens, can I eat anything? Actually, if you enjoy some spam, grilled skewers, a plate of kimchi, or baked cake occasionally, you can relax. After all, life needs enjoyment. Avoiding long-term heavy consumption means occasional eating won't cause cancer. However, some foods should still be avoided whenever possible. For example, in southern China, betel nut chewing has surged in popularity. Its addictiveness comes from arcolin, which boosts alertness and excitement. Its effects resemble coffee.
But long-term chewing damages oral mucosa, causing fibrosis and potential cancer.
Studies show regular users face over 50 times higher oral cancer risk than non-users.
To survive, many oral cancer patients undergo disfiguring facial surgeries, so choose coffee over betel nut for alertness without cancer risks. Some foods become carcinogenic based on when you consume them. We often hear eat while hot at meals, but scalding foods may cause cancer. WHO classifies foods above 65 degrees Celsius as Group 2A carcinogens, whether tea, coffee, porridge, or hot pot, burning esophageal tissue. Repeated tissue damage and repair significantly increases cancer likelihood. Moving from dietary to lifestyle cancer risks, focusing on smoking, alcohol, exercise deficiency, and ionizing radiation. These four aspects.
First,
Smoking relates to 90% of lung cancer cases.
This includes secondhand smoke. Before tobacco spread, lung cancer was globally rare. Now it's the top cancer in many nations, including China. Why does smoking cause lung cancer? While nicotine is the addictive component, it's not the primary carcinogen.
Research shows a single cigarette, listing dangers, 73 toxins, 78 being group 1 carcinogens, like acetaldehyde, acrylamide, hydrogen cyanide, benzene, and arsenic.
Occasional smoking won't cause cancer, but addiction starting in 20s dramatically increases post-50 risks, while also harming others. The book notes 100,000 annual deaths in China from secondhand smoke. A U.S. study tracking smoking rates and lung deaths since 1900 found cancer mortality spiked 20 years after smoking increased. In the 1960s and 70s, after the U.S. began tobacco control, lung cancer deaths started decreasing in the 80s and 90s. Just like smoking addiction, alcohol addiction can also cause cancer. The World Health Organization has long classified alcohol as a Group 1 carcinogen. Research shows that worldwide, 800,000 people get cancer from alcohol annually, accounting for about 5.5% of cancer cases. That means 1 in every 18 cancer patients develops cancer due to drinking. Alcohol causes cancer because ethanol, when ingested, is first metabolized into acetaldehyde, then converted to acetic acid and excreted.
The intermediate metabolite, acetaldehyde, is a group 1 carcinogen.
Drinking can lead to various cancers, including oral, esophageal, gastric, liver, pancreatic, colorectal, and breast cancer. U.S. studies show that 41% of oral cancers and 21% of esophageal cancers are linked to drinking. There's a common myth that people who flush when drinking have a high alcohol tolerance and don't get drunk easily, but flushing actually indicates higher cancer risk. People who flush easily can quickly convert ethanol to acetaldehyde, so they don't get drunk easily. Acetaldehyde dilates blood vessels, causing flow. First time the DNA is older with a small amount of exo process when the DNA radiates this. If you have elution for assessor, you can start with older radiation, but this also means the level of acetaldehyde, a group 1 carcinogen, in the body is very high. So if you must drink, what amount is relatively safe? The U.S. official recommendation is no more than 28 grams of alcohol per day for men and 14 grams for women. Converted to 52 proof liquor, that's about 1.5 Leon for men and 7 Chion for women. Having covered smoking and drinking, let's now discuss exercise. A study examined the relationship between exercise and 26 types of cancer, finding that exercise can significantly reduce risks. Among them, 13 types, including common high-incidence cancers like breast, colorectal, liver, and lung cancer, saw reductions of 27% and 26% respectively for liver and lung cancer. Exercise helps prevent cancer, partly because it aids in weight loss. And studies show that obesity, or being overweight, doubles the risk of liver, gastric, esophageal, and kidney cancers. For unhealthy habits, we'll finally discuss ionizing radiation. Radiation in daily life is divided into non-ionizing and ionizing radiation. Things like light from a stove, mobile signals, and microwaves are non-ionizing, with low energy that doesn't cause gene mutations, while UV light from the sun and some nuclear radiation are ionizing. They possess high energy that penetrates the body, causing gene mutations. So, we should prevent ionizing radiation not just during medical exams, but also practice sun protection daily. Hospital X-rays and CT scans are ionizing radiation, but generally at low intensity that doesn't harm the body. However, excessive scans in a short period increase cancer risk, especially enhanced CT, which has radiation dozens of times stronger than X-rays. Unnecessary sun exposure should be minimized, though moderate sun helps vitamin D production for calcium absorption. But excessive sun drastically increases skin cancer risk, especially on beaches where sand and waves intensely reflect UV rays. Even hiding under a beach umbrella won't fully protect you. Australia has the world's highest cancer incidence, partly due to their beach sunbathing culture, leading to high skin cancer rates. And additionally, while hot springs are considered healthy, beware of radon hot springs. Radon is radioactive, and long-term exposure increases cancer risk. All right, that concludes our discussion.
Part 2. How to prevent cancer in daily life.
To prevent cancer, guard against cancer entering through the mouth. Limit pickled foods, processed meats, smoked or grilled items, and avoid scalding hot foods.
Cultivate healthy habits. Quit smoking and drinking, exercise regularly, and prevent obesity. Also, minimize exposure to ionizing radiation risks in daily life.
But no matter how careful one is, eliminating all cancer risks is impossible, making cancer screening crucial.
Part 3. How to properly conduct cancer screening.
Cancer screening is familiar to many, especially those over 40, as cancer risk rises significantly, and screening is often recommended. Currently, health institutions offer various screenings, like full-body PET-CT, hailed in China as a cancer screening marvel, costing nearly 10,000 RMB per scan, yet still in high demand. But is such expensive screening truly useful? Simply put, PET-CT uses radiation for full-body scans. Cancer cells, which consume high energy, appear as bright spots on the images. In the US, PET-CT scans are typically for cancer patients to check if the cancer has metastasized. US authorities and most physicians strongly oppose using this for healthy individuals. Two main reasons. First, PET-CT uses strong ionizing radiation that increases cancer risk when scanning healthy bodies.
Second, it has high false negative and false positive rates.
False negative means failing to detect existing cancer.
While PET-CT detects most cancers, its early-stage detection is poor. Lesions under 5 millimeters are often missed. False positives misdiagnose non-cancerous conditions like thyroiditis or pneumonia as cancer.
So, how should we conduct cancer screening if full-body PET-CT is unreliable? Cancer screening aims to detect early signs, improving treatment success rates. Currently, screening is most accurate when targeting specific cancers. If you're high risk for certain cancers, get screened early. Now let's cover screening methods for China's top 4 cancers: lung, gastric, breast, and thyroid cancer.
First, lung cancer screening. It's China's #1 cancer in both incidence and mortality.
High-risk groups should be especially vigilant about screening.
For example, those with family history or chronic lung diseases like COPD.
Heavy long-term smokers' occupational exposure to carcinogens, notably Chinese homemakers, are also high risk. Many households prefer stir-frying, exposing homemakers to prolonged cooking fumes.
They're also often exposed to husbands' secondhand smoke.
The most common lung exam is X-ray, quick, affordable for detecting lesions including cancer, but it may miss diagnosis. For instance, tiny millimeter-sized lesions often go undetected.
Currently, low-dose spiral CT is the most effective screening method recommended by authorities. Lower radiation, more affordable than standard CT, and convenient.
You just need to hold your breath. The check takes only 6 seconds. Early-stage lung cancer has no symptoms and can't be detected in daily life. If detected early and treated with surgery, the 10-year survival rate can exceed 90%, meaning 90% of patients are still alive after 10 years. Second, let's talk about gastric cancer screening. Gastric cancer is China's second most common cancer after lung cancer. Although the total number of cases is less than lung cancer, half of the world's gastric cancer patients are in China. The frightening thing about gastric cancer is that it has no obvious symptoms in the early stages. And for me, many people, once they have symptoms, are already in advanced stages. Currently, China's 5-year survival rate for gastric cancer is only 20%, while our neighbor Japan, although having a high incidence rate, achieves over 60%. Oh, the reason is that Japan has promoted a nationwide gastric cancer screening program since 1983. Many cases are detected early through screening, with the most accurate method being endoscopy. A doctor inserts a flexible tube through the mouth into the stomach, using a tiny camera at the end to examine it. If abnormalities are found, a biopsy can be taken for testing. Some people find the endoscopy tube insertion too painful.
Currently, painless endoscopy and capsule endoscopy are being promoted. Painless endoscopy is done under anesthesia, and capsule endoscopy uses a capsule-sized mini robot to enter the stomach. Both methods are painless.
Additionally, testing for Helicobacter pylori and its markers can serve as supplementary methods for gastric cancer screening. Who should undergo gastric cancer screening? First, people in high-risk areas or with a family history of gastric cancer should be screened. Second, those with long-term high-salt diets, consumption of pickled foods, or heavy smoking and drinking habits should also be screened. Finally, people with Helicobacter pylori infection or conditions like chronic atrophic gastritis, gastric ulcers, or gastric polyps are key targets for screening. Third, let's discuss breast cancer screening. For Chinese women, breast cancer is the most common cancer type. Every year, nearly 400,000 women in China develop breast cancer. Although the incidence is high, if detected early, the cure rate can approach 100%. If it progresses to late stages, survival rates are limited, so promoting breast cancer screening is crucial. Breast cancer screening is straightforward. Mammography combined with ultrasound plus MRI when necessary.
Mammography is localized breast X-ray. Together with ultrasound and MRI, it's convenient, making early detection achievable. For average women, screening generally starts after age 40.
High-risk groups, like those with family history or prior breast conditions, should start as early as 20. Fourth, let's discuss thyroid cancer screening. Its incidence has skyrocketed recently, though historically rare in China. But since 2000, thyroid cancer rates suddenly surged.
Growing 20% annually, it's now the fastest rising malignancy.
There's much speculation about this rapid rise, such as excessive iodized salt, seafood consumption, or increased daily radiation exposure. Actually, none of these cause the rapid increase. The real reason is improved ultrasound resolution. Tiny 1 to 2 millimeters thyroid nodules, previously undetectable, are now easily found, making rates appear to surge. However, not all thyroid nodules are malignant. Even some labeled as cancer grow very slowly and may never cause symptoms. For example, papillary carcinoma, the most common subtype, accounts for over 85% of thyroid cancers. Many young people diagnosed with this subtype have nearly 100% 20-year survival rates. So, moreover, tiny papillary cancers usually don't progress and only require regular monitoring. Treating them aggressively, like thyroid removal or chemotherapy or radiotherapy, can actually harm the body. After all, the thyroid has vital functions. Its loss leads to permanent hypothyroidism, lifelong medication, voice damage, and reduced quality of life. In thyroid cancer, only the anaplastic subtype is quite deadly, with an average survival under 1 year. But it only makes up about 5% of thyroid cancers and mainly affects older adults. So, cancer screening is important, but don't overdiagnose and don't panic if you get cancer. With advances in human medicine, cancer screening accuracy will keep improving and new screening methods will emerge. For example, some research institutions abroad are studying how to use dogs' keen sense of smell to detect cancer. If we can screen for cancer through its smell in the future, cancer defense will become much more convenient. Maybe we'll even be able to detect cancer right at home. All right, we've covered the third part. Expensive full-body cancer screenings aren't necessarily effective, and cancer screening shouldn't be excessive. For different cancer types, we should use different screening methods, early detection, early treatment. To this point, that concludes the main content of the book, Cancer Defense. As human lifespans keep extending, each of us has an increasing chance of encountering cancer in our lifetime. And although current medical tech hasn't fully beaten cancer, we already have a range of solid preventive measures. In developed countries like the US and Japan, cancer incidence is rising, but mortality rates are falling. With active prevention, we can stay away from cancer, avoid late-stage cancer, and live healthy lives. All right, that's our interpretation of cancer defense. The reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.